Now, when people hear the term financial freedom, they often picture something extreme. Private jets, early retirement, millions in the bank. But honestly, I don't think that's what financial freedom really is, at least not for most people. To me, financial freedom is much simpler. It's not about becoming rich per se. It's about reducing how dependent you are on your next paycheck, even a little bit. Because dependence is what creates that feeling of being trapped. When you have to work, every decision feels heavier. You tolerate things that you normally wouldn't tolerate. Bad bosses, stress, long hours, because you need that paycheck. Now, let me be very clear about something. I'm not financially free. Not even close, to be honest. But something interesting started to happen in my life over the last few years. And it changed the way I think about work. Now let's start with YouTube. My YouTube income so far is zero. So financially speaking, it's not a great investment. But something strange happens when you start creating things. Even if it doesn't pay much or anything, you still get something back. Creativity, learning, or even purpose. You start developing skills. You start thinking differently. And in a strange way, that alone is some kind of return. Maybe not financial return, but life return. But there is one thing in my life that does produce real income, and that's my dividend portfolio. And right now those dividends cover about 15% of my living expenses, which means something interesting in my perspective. 15% of my life is no longer dependent on my paycheck. Now, 15% is not financial freedom, but psychologically it's bigger than it sounds, because something happens when that number starts growing. First it's maybe 5% and you barely notice it, and then it becomes 10%, and now it starts to feel real. And then maybe 15%, and you suddenly realize something. You're a little less trapped than before. One thing I've learned is that financial freedom almost never comes or arrives dramatically. There's no big moment where confetti falls from the ceiling and somebody hands you the keys to freedom. Instead, it grows quietly in the background, one investment at a time, and one skill at a time, and one side project at a time. And sometimes those things fail. Sometimes they don't make money. Sometimes they feel like a waste of time. But occasionally one of them works, and then the number starts to grow a little. 5%, 10%, 15%, and maybe one day 30%, 40%, 50%, and by that point something fundamental has changed. You're no longer completely dependent on your job. And here's something I realized recently. The goal isn't actually to escape work. At least not for me. It's honestly, I think most people want to do something meaningful. We want to build things, create things, learn things. The problem isn't work, it's The problem is forced work, work you can't leave, work you endure because you have no choice. I think real freedom isn't doing nothing. I think real freedom is having options. The option to walk away, the option to say no, the option to work on things that actually matter to you. So maybe financial freedom isn't a destination. Maybe it's a direction. A slow shift from total dependence towards increasing independence. And you don't need to become rich to move in that direction. You just need to start building things that work without you. Investments, skills and projects and things that slowly, quietly reduce your dependence on that next paycheck. Most people will work for about 45 years and there's nothing really wrong with working. But maybe the real goal isn't to escape work completely. Maybe the goal is as simple as this: to reach a point where your life isn't entirely controlled by your next paycheck, where your work becomes a choice and not a trap. That's it for today. As always, thank you for listening and catch you later.